Hey everybody, welcome to Finding Foundations, the pod. This is a space for honest conversations about the moments that shape us, those turning points, that messy middle, and everything in between. In each episode, I sit down with somebody to explore what they've learned along their way, how they've held on to it when things felt really difficult, and what's changed because of it. No perfect answers, just real stories. I'm Karen Tom, and this is Finding Foundations. My guest this week is Liz Harrington, the EFT coach. Liz is super passionate about helping women to release their money blocks and heal from any financial trauma that they may have experienced, so that they can step fully into their power, increase their sense of self-worth, earn their value, and put an end to the limiting beliefs and self-sabotage once and for all. Hurrah! Liz informs and empowers women so that they can change their worth, ask for that well-deserved pay rise, or go for that promotion, while giving them the clarity and confidence to create financial security and independence. The benefits and return on investment that clients get by working with her makes the investment a complete no-brainer. Liz also coaches separating and divorced women to heal, feel empowered and financially savvy after the trauma and toxic money wounds that are so often involved in the divorce process. Liz's main tool that she uses alongside her coaching skills is that of EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique, aka tapping, which she describes as acupuncture without the needles. Liz is an expert in trauma, specifically in how it relates to money and relationships, both from her training as well as her own personal experience, which has lit a fire in her to reach, heal and empower as many women as possible. I am super excited to hear about Liz's work, so let's get into it. So, Liz, before we dive in, do you want to give us a little bio about yourself, or just like who you are, what you do?
Yeah, sure. Okay, cool. So yeah, that's a good question. Why do I do what I do? Which I will cover. But about me, I'm Liz Harrington. I am the EFT coach, and I also run a business called Family Flow, the Divorce Collective, and which actually is so related to money. Divorce is about children and money and relationships ending, and I've been kind of drawn into that from the work that I did with women on their money mindset, on financial trauma, which is so often through relationship breakup, because we do generally, the very broken system, whether you're divorced, whether you're married or not, so especially if you're not married, it's a very broken system, and we end up really on the back foot as women, generally. Obviously, everything I talk about today is a generalization, but it's also kind of true. So I don't apologize for that. I just caveat it slightly in case there's any men listening. I'm not a man hater, but I am a feminist. So yeah, I don't know how much you want me to tell you about, but I kind of fell into this work. Used to work in HR, always been quite passionate about like equal rights for men and women, and had my babies, ended up doing this weird thing called EFT tapping, very much as a hobby job, and then needed to take it a bit more seriously and kind of carve out a niche. So finances and its relation to business became my niche. So I do little bit of work with entrepreneurs as well, helping them with their money mindset, increasing their prices without freaking out, all that kind of stuff. And obviously that's how we met. So it's
Yes.
awesome. I love that too. Yeah. So is that enough? Any specific
Yeah,
things?
no, that's a good, I guess it gives people a bit of a flavour of like where we're going to be going in this episode. So it's about finance, it's about women in finance, and in that way then what happens, it's the things that you don't want to think about, but if you separated from a partner, things like that, obviously
Yeah.
that's your area of expertise as well,
Yeah.
with your family flow business. And quite frankly, I mean, I think you were very kind, but women can really just get completely fucked over.
Yeah. Yeah, they can. Absolutely.
And
Mm.
yeah, and I guess it's in that ways what I think I was thinking it would be quite nice to get out of this is that women, whoever the people who are listening, kind of it makes them think like, gosh, where am I with this? Where am I with that? And
Mm.
it's not to be doom and gloom, but it's like, how protected are you? What are the conversations that you're having? Because it's so important, isn't it? And afterwards, you find so many horror stories about
Yeah.
what happens in the aftermath of things.
Mm-hmm.
And it's quite scary.
It is terrifying. And you're absolutely right. We do get completely fucked over. The system is broken. And that's why I've written a book and it's almost finished, Money, Marriage and Motherhood, How Not to Get Fucked Over. Because actually, once you're in a divorce, sometimes it's a bit too late. I mean, it's never completely too late. You can start again and you can rebuild, but we have so many women that are left financially destitute, and especially the ones that have given up work and have stayed at home to raise the kids, or even not been the primary breadwinner, have maybe taken a career break or worked part-time, or think, oh, I'll have my own business. So they haven't paid into a private pension. And, we're massively on the back foot. And actually, if you do protect yourself, it's not about, oh, well, surely if I trust my husband, then I shouldn't need to do this. Like, I think everyone should absolutely always have a prenup. There's no way my kids are getting married without one. I'm not getting married ever again without one. It's just not happening. And they are good because they force the conversations that you should be having anyway. And hopefully you'll never need it. But if you do, it's going to be so much kinder. And it's not about mistrust or like tempting fate. It's actually, if you do this and you don't break up, you're going to have more money in your retirement. It's good for both of you, not just you.
Yeah.
So it's a complete no-brainer, but we just don't know until very often it's too late.
Yeah. And I guess also, sorry, not to skip back, but it's almost like, and I think again, especially for women, it goes back to that mindset thing, doesn't it? That starts way before this kind of
100%.
situation. It's like, as women, we ask for less, we're paid less. There is, these things exist, like a gender pay gap. All of this is real. Like, these are things that we all feel and see every day. I mean, and that's just like the big obvious ones. But in general, we're already at a bit of a disadvantage in that way from where we come from, a mindset positioning. And never mind before you add in all of our generational things around money, what we could ask for, what we should ask for. And I guess in that way, like, it blows my mind when you think about that. And especially I think as well, and I'm saying from my own perspective, is like, I was the first to go to university from my family. And in that way, it's almost like you outperform, your parents in like that socioeconomic status. And
gone through the glass ceiling.
You've gone through that ceiling, haven't you? And it's like, even if you don't, just from doing that, it just puts you in a completely different perspective. And it's like, you're not used to that. It's different to what you have known.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so much in what you say, Karen. Like, I agree with every word. And one of the reasons I love doing this work is because it's just so interesting. And everyone has money programming from when they were little. And one of the processes I do is going back to that through visualization and then the tapping. And what was your earliest money memory? And obviously for women, it's often their mums. And the mums are given an allowance quite often back then, counting the pennies and having to balance the books. Money was scarce, a lot more than it is now. It wasn't as accessible, not for everyone, obviously. And then there might be control around money if the man of the house went out to work and it's like, well, what have you spent money on? And so all those things. And I think it is very different, the messages that we as women, as young little girls, absorb as opposed to little boys, because you can't deny there's that gender difference. And really interesting what you say about the going to uni, because we all have a family set point. And we can make subconscious and conscious, but very often subconscious vows to remain loyal to our family struggle. So I know when I was at work, I really struggled to get over 50 grand a year because I felt like I was being disloyal to my dad, because he earned like 49 or something. And I just felt like, gosh, I don't want to shame. I don't want my dad, don't want him to feel bad about himself, even though I wouldn't have ever told him what I was earning. I guess I would if he'd asked, but and that in itself is an interesting conversation. Why don't we talk about what we earn? There's so much shame and worry about it. So yeah, that family set point is a huge thing. And some people might make a conscious decision, like I'm not going to be poor like my family were. I'm going to make it and I'm going to do really well. And often they do, and they earn a lot of money, but then they might not feel comfortable having it, so they throw it away. They spend a lot,
Mm,
or they give it away to other people. So or they just feel really bad about it, and they can end up being one of those people that earns loads, crashes out, earns loads, crashes out,
yeah.
makes really bad investment decisions or whatever. And it's almost always, well, in my world, I've always been able to relate it to how they grew up around money.
Yeah.
And also traumatic experiences with relationships, with bosses. Bosses can have a massive
Mm.
influence on our kind of earning set points. So
Oh, right. What in house? What do you mean?
well, so I think I've had quite a few entrepreneurial clients who have come from jobs where they were either let go of, maybe it was really difficult and quite conflicted, or even a redundancy situation. But quite often, so that is trauma in itself and creates a I'm not good enough feel. I'm not good enough to charge. How can I earn more than I earned when I was at work? But often, if you had a difficult boss that wouldn't promote you or wouldn't put you above a certain
Ah, right.
amount of
Get you.
money, then you carry that through. It's like this little invisible voice that keeps telling you, "Oh, who do you think you are earning that much money?"
Mm,
And I did have a difficult boss like that, and I knew I should earn more. But just don't think he liked me. I was too straight talking and not sort of corporate enough for him,
yeah.
and I didn't have a degree, which he really didn't like. So I was forced upon him because I was transferred from another company into his, and he never would have given me a job if that hadn't been forced upon
Yeah.
him. So, that was, I have had to do work on that because it really damaged my self-esteem.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite funny now looking back, but at the time it was significant, absolutely.
Mm.
Yeah.
And I think in that way as well, it's like I love how like Gabor Mate, he always talks about like big T, little t,
Mm,
trauma is trauma, whether it's, huge or
mm,
perceived, this is whatever, it's still trauma if it's things
yeah.
that you carry around. And I think
Mm,
I see this in my coaching practice with some of my clients who have massively outperformed. And I'm saying outperform, that sounds so harsh, but I mean, it's fact. That's
yeah.
the word, right? But of where their family basis came from, like maybe they were very working class when they were a child, but now they're 100% some
Yeah.
bougie, lovely lifestyle that they're loving, but they also feel really guilty about it. And I
Yeah.
think sometimes that's where you can also get really disconnected from yourself somehow, because you start performing different things for different people and
Mm,
in different roles because oh god, I can't be too much there. I can't talk about, oh, I just bought a lovely bag, I did do all of these
mm,
different things. They don't have that, so I can't talk about this. I can't do
yeah.
this with my family because then they're going to think, who the bloody hell she thinks she is, kind
Yeah.
of thing. Like, and then
Absolutely.
again with friends, with whatever.
Yeah.
And I think it's just a really, really tricky sense, isn't it? And then in the
Mm,
end, you're living your life for lots of other people and
yeah.
not really for you, for your own self
Yeah.
in that way.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think we always have to remember that other people have exactly the same, not the same beliefs, and I'm thinking about my sister and specifically, but like they can have exactly the same upbringing as you, the same kind of influences, but can feel completely different for whatever reason, and can
Yeah.
get very triggered by you if you're really successful. So I remember I got front row tickets for the ABBA musical, whatever I can't remember what it was called. Mamma Mia.
Voyage.
No, Mamma
Oh, sorry,
Mia.
Mamma Mia.
Mamma
Yeah.
Mia. This was years and years ago. And I was really excited. I was going to take my mum and my sister. I thought it'd be a really nice day in London. It was my treat. And my sister went nuts and it was just like, that's just you flashing your cash. And she didn't come in the end.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was devastating at the time, really, really devastating. And I'm like, it was so far from the truth, but that was her truth. And she couldn't get
Yeah.
over it. When I moved into this house, my dad told her she's finding it really difficult because, you've done so well out of your divorce. And I'm like, she's literally looked at Rightmove and probably assumed I've sold my house for £1 million and moved into this one, which was a lot less than that. But I didn't sell it it sold for £1 million, but it was mortgaged up to the hilt. So it's not the money I got. And it's just like, we so often don't know the full story, but we make these assumptions. And it's really sad because it's massively impacted our relationship. And then you have to work that through or make peace with it or do whatever. So yeah, so a lot of the stuff I hear, I'm like, yeah, I've kind of been, obviously it's always different,
I get that.
but yeah,
I hear
so, yeah, which clients tend to like generally. So yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess in that way, like you can relate, don't you? So
Mm.
in that way, what would be like, what are the most common sort of limiting beliefs that you find around, that you hear around money? And
Mm.
what are the things that we can do, which I'm alluding to lead on to some
Yeah,
thing. But yeah,
absolutely.
what are the biggest
So
things that you hear?
I think the biggest thing is for me, and especially in my work with divorcing women, is that they don't see they don't value their contribution. So take for example, a stay-at-home wife or someone that has really put their career on the back burner, and they don't see their contribution, they don't value it, especially if the kids are older. And there's an injustice, and they're like, I've spent my whole life raising the kids, and now if I went and got a job, I'm being told to get a job for the first time in 20, 30, sometimes 40 years. What can I do? I'll be minimum wage. Like, how can I pay a mortgage on that? And 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 they don't realize, and this is partly a legal thing, that actually it's a marital pot, and 50-50 is only a starting point. You don't get compensation for the fact that you gave up your work and have not really got much career prospects now, sadly. You don't get compensated for it, as in actual compensation, but that does come into it. So therefore you might get a bigger portion of the pot. You might be able to get some spousal maintenance for a while. You used to be able to get that quite easily. It's really hard now. But I don't want to get too into the legalities, but until we get their belief system running, which is a balance, because you don't want to get them too sort of angry and like, oh, I deserve loads of money for everything I've given up, because actually if they don't get it, they're going to feel really awful. So it is a balance. But to have that feeling of like, actually, like, and one of the exercises we do, I've got a one of our free resources, is actually adding up what you do at home. You would be not, if you'd had to employ someone to do that, you'd be paying them about 50 grand at least. And a lot of other calculations are like it's between 50 and 80 grand for everything you do. So start valuing yourself so that you've got the confidence to say, actually, that's not fair. But it runs so deeply, and it's very much, well, that's his money. And I see this I've got some really dear friends. There's four of us that go out, and their husbands earn a lot of money. And I know that obviously they'll happily spend it on the house and stuff like that. But when we go out and it's just us four, there is a consciousness of money. And it might be just because they earn a lot more than me, and I've been a bit cash strapped since my divorce a few times. But I know there's a discomfort, and they don't see it as their money. I'm like, you've been married to him for like 20 years. Of course it's your money. And we don't really have those conversations, but occasionally we sort of touch on them. And I just think, oh, after all that time, you're still viewing it as his money. Look at everything you've done, and how you've contributed to him getting where he's got, which is amazing. And because they are very clever or very career driven, whatever. But they're not always recognizing their part in that. And
No.
and that, I mean, I used to get really cross about it. I don't get cross about it anymore, but I guess I sometimes get a bit frustrated, because again, it comes back to us not valuing our worth and our
Yeah.
contribution, and it's massive. It's
Oh,
huge.
it's huge. I think it took me about 3 years to read this book, not because it was boring. It was just so much information to take in. But there's a book called Donut Economics, and this lady, she's an economist who was coming out of university saying like this model's broken, it doesn't work like this. So she wanted to look at a different way of economics, and so she's got like obviously the donut, and I can't remember now. I think there's like 8 different chapters around it. she's called Kate Raworth, something like that. And one of them is about the unpaid community, and that's around like women who stay at home to take care of their children, or even like that the part-time role that they might take, the discrepancy between working and then taking time out to have children, and the drop in your pension pots and things like this. And then also moving on from that, if you are working part-time, actually, if you incorporate into that the full-time job of your mother job, if we just say it's a job, then actually, like, your hourly rate is pretty fucking shit, because you're basically working 24 hours a day for very, very little.
Yeah.
And then when you factor on top of that, like the grandparents who might come in and help that are not being paid either, like that's such a huge part that helps our economy function and operate, but it's just not acknowledged in any way.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And on grandparents, like, it's very often the mothers, or the female, even if you don't have children, the female person that is doing the care of the elderlies, even if it's their in-laws or not their direct parents. You know, it's very often that. And you know, it's, yes, we're more caring and nurturing and all those things, but it's not equitable. It's not fair. And we might want to do that, and that's lovely. But I think when, you know, it's not just about the money you have in your pocket and feeling good about, yes, this is my money. It's not just my husband's money, it's family money. But it is also, like you say, the pension. And, you know, and also, let's be realistic, women tend to live longer than men. So if you're not married, you don't have access to their pension, or they haven't got a death in service payment, or, you know, various things, or life insurance, that kind of thing, which generally men often take care of those things. We don't necessarily worry about them. They're not sort of in our consciousness a lot of the time. And so it might not be divorce. It might be just, sadly, the death of your spouse. And if you don't know anything about the finances, well, even to the point where, like, who do we bank with? Some people don't even know that. Or how do I get into our joint account? If you haven't got the things set up, like not just a will, but power of attorney and lasting power of attorney, it's like those things I don't know loads about, but I know enough. Like, they're really important, because, you know, you're like, oh, well, I'll just get their money if they die. Well, it takes a long time and it's a lot of work. And if you're dealing with your grief, sorting out like funerals and all that kind of stuff, looking after your kids if you've got them with their grief, how are you supposed to do all that as well when you're starting from scratch and you haven't got a clue, and you don't even know the passwords? Like, it's awful.
That is terrifying. I didn't realise. I was reading somebody, actually, it's from Doing a Will. That's what it was. We recently was doing a will, and she was talking about lasting power of attorney, and I'm like, we're just trying to sort that out for my mum now. But, you know, that's what happens when you're old. And she was telling the story about Kate Garraway, the TV presenter. And it sends chills down my spine even thinking of that now, that her husband was nearly died, or maybe he has died. I don't know. Anyway,
has died now,
has he? Yeah. So when he got COVID and was in hospital, completely unresponsive, she couldn't access his bank accounts. She wasn't able to do anything. I think like his car got stolen, and she couldn't even claim on the insurance because it wasn't in her name. It was all in his name, and she didn't have power of attorney. So it's not actually about only when somebody dies. It's things like that. And that's shocking, because, I mean, unfortunately, accidents and things happen all the time, don't they?
They really do. They really do. And like Kate Garraway, you think, well, she earns her own money, you know, she's very successful, she's got her head screwed on. But even someone like her, so there's no shame in the fact you don't know this. You've just got to start knowing it.
No.
And you know, but she had a big house, I think North London, and, you know, children. So even though she had a big income, it wasn't enough to survive on. She had to access all those things. So, and I think, actually, Karen, in terms of how you have that delicate conversation with your spouse, if you do find it really hard to discuss money, I think just need to say, look, if you died, I wouldn't have a clue. Can we just have some time? Can we make some time to go through everything so I at least know what we've got? And actually, if I'm talking to someone that's getting divorced or what is thinking about getting divorced and they have no clue where to start, that's where I say, well, get a will, because then you can find out everything, and at least then you know what you're dealing with. Um, because it's much easier to find out all that stuff when you're amicable than when you've already broken up, when things can start being hidden and not completely honest truth being
Disclosed.
told. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what some people do that, don't they?
Oh God, yeah.
They want to protect. They don't what's theirs,
Yeah,
and not kind of bringing it into
yeah,
the
yeah,
relationship, so to speak. Yeah,
absolutely.
it's quite it's a massive minefield, really, isn't it? It's like such a huge topic of like how any of this even works. Like we've only literally been talking for 15 minutes, and it's like, shit, I've got about 4 different topics that I want to go
Yeah.
through here now, because it's also so interesting in that way. But if we just pop back to so we're in limiting beliefs, we're talking about it with the client. Limiting beliefs are identified. What's the types of conversations you're having with your clients then that then moves into that the tapping and release?
Yeah, sure. So obviously when I start working with a client, I have a really good chat with them beforehand, find out their goals and what they're trying to get out of it, why they picked up the phone to me, basically. But it nearly always starts with childhood. So it's usually one of the first sessions I do is on that childhood programming. How were they brought up around money? What's their earliest memory? How are their parents behaving around money? And very quickly, quite often it's like, oh, well, my parents got divorced. So, that adds another dimension to it completely. So before, within very early on in the first session, we've got so much to work with already. And then it's exploring that. Another process we do is especially around charging. So do this with the entrepreneurs, definitely, is vi visualizing yourself standing on a stage with a sign saying how much you earn, and looking at everyone in the audience, and you've got everyone there, like your family, your friends, your colleagues, your business coach, your fellow people that you might mastermind or network with, grandparents, even if they're not here anymore, and people at school, old bosses, colleagues. And you see, and they're like, oh my God, my mum's like, I had one lady, my mum's just got up and walked out. She's so disgusted with me. And that's a massive thing. If they don't want to say, yeah, I earn this much money, or I mean, they don't actually have to do it. This is all through visualization. But it's the subconscious judgment that drives our behavior. And it's like, if
Yeah.
you've got that belief that your mum's going to be disgusted with you earning more money, it's going to be very hard to put your prices up. It's a very simple link. So doing that kind of work is really invaluable. And there's loads of other processes that we do.
And sorry to interrupt you, are people always surprised when you start going through, like, what was it like? What was money like in your household? Whatever, da, 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 da. Do people kind of go like, oh, fuck, now I
Yeah.
see.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's almost like it's a surprise.
Yeah, yeah. It's like it's a shock, but then it's like the penny drops. You can almost hear it. Like, wow, that's why. And I'm like, is it any wonder you're doing this when that was your programming? And it's so
Mm,
freeing because you're just like, oh, it's not my fault. Because we blame
yeah,
ourselves so often, especially around money. It's like, it's not my fault. That's not taking responsibility and moving forward. It's just like, actually, where I am right now is not my fault. That's not in a
yeah,
blame way. It's just like your parents can have done their absolute best, that there's always going to be something. And actually, it was a man that I was working with, but I was just like, oh, I'm not sure how this is going to go. I think he seems pretty all right to me. And he had a subconscious limiting belief. Sorry, I can't get my words out today. Um, he wasn't married, he didn't have kids, but his whole thing was, I don't want to throw myself too much into my career. He was a coach, he was a really good coach. I don't want to throw myself too much and go all in, like sacrifice my life, like a lot of coaches seem to want to do, um, because And he was like, why aren't I doing this? Why can I not work a bit harder? Why am I so obsessed with finishing early on a Friday and, keeping strict hours? Which on the surface you go, well, that's great, that's really healthy work-life balance, and you're earning
Yeah.
good money, what's
It's a
the
dream.
problem? Yeah, it's most of our dreams. But he did want to earn more money, but he couldn't quite just get there. And we figured out that actually it was because his parents had a really successful business, and his parents went to every single match that he played in at school. He went to private school, and they always do lots of sport at private school. So both parents were always there at every single match. And he's got this subconscious belief: if I work too hard, then I'm not going to be able to do that for my kids. He didn't even have kids. He wasn't even married. But and that was the thing, that was the key that turned the locks, that just opened things up. And he didn't start flogging himself or working really, really hard. He put his prices up. He was a bit more flexible, but not too, not, he wasn't anal about it. And he just, his earnings went literally through the roof. I mean, it was the easiest client I've ever had. It was so easy and really interesting.
Yeah.
I should have charged a
Could
lot
have
more
said
for that
something
one.
really simple about men then, but
Yeah, but maybe that was a part of it. But how wonderful. And you would never think that there was a problem there, but there was.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, really interesting. Yeah.
And that's it, isn't it? It's even when, and that's why I think sometimes it goes back to, is like big T, little t, trauma is
Mm,
trauma. And
mm,
somehow that's something that was holding him back. So
yeah.
even though it sounds like idyllic, it was, great in that
Mm,
way that his parents were always showing up for him. Actually, somehow he'd created a different story out of that
yeah.
later in life that put so much pressure, it was
Yeah.
stopping him from taking action.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, crazy how the
Mm.
mind works. He was so far from that, but it was still there 100%. And it's like this future image of what life might be like if I go down this route, which
Yeah.
it's never been. He's still got an amazing work-life balance and he earns tons of money. Good on him. Love it.
On that note, what are the things
Should
then
we,
that we start to do when the oh God, sorry, brain fog.
when the limiting beliefs come up?
Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Yes. What's the
Um,
next steps from there? What happens?
Well, I think for a lot of people, it is so subconscious. They might know that there's a problem, but they don't necessarily know what it is or where it stems from or whatever. And we can do a very simple process around just identifying your relationship with money, and really, because most people just don't think about it because they don't want to, so they just carry on. But actually, even just the process that I think we should do, is can be, mind blowing. But then I think it can be really subtle as well. So a lot of people that procrastinate, self-sabotage, might not, I know they miss the closing date for a round of funding, or for an award that they'd really like to go for. They taught themselves out of stuff, and very often it's like, oh, I just ran out of time, or I was busy doing this. But very often it is a subconscious fear that's playing out, that's creating these distractions, creating this procrastination, um, because of a fear of success. And a fear of success is obviously massively related to money. And I was talking to someone once about what I was doing, and I talked about fear of success, and they were just like, "What? Fear of success? Like that doesn't exist." And they had never ever thought that, and they didn't have it. They did not have a fear. They had a massive fear of failure, and that had driven them on really, really well. Probably a bit too much at times. But the fear of success, they just could not get their head around it. And I'm like, no, that is what it's like for people. Some people, they, like you were saying, I don't want to shine too much because then I'm going to get the people saying, who do you think you are? And then also, this is a massive one that comes up as well. What happens, and they don't think this logically or consciously always, but when I get there, oh my God, then I've got to stay there. Like when I get that 10K month, which is for coaches, a lot of the, 10K months, what have I got to do what's it going to take me to get there? And I had this
Yeah.
myself, my first 10K month, the only thing my husband said was, well, you've got to stay at that now, haven't you? Or you've got to keep it at that now. Not well done, that's
Mm.
amazing, I'm so proud of you. None of that. Well, you've got to carry it on now.
Yeah.
And it
And
was just
it
like,
kind of sets a precedent then, does it? It's like,
yeah,
shit, this can't be the it can only go higher. It can't, fluctuate and flow like as life does. Yeah.
But then you also get the sort of slightly devilish side. The ones that want to, I always forget this word, uh, rebel against someone's expectations. And you can kind of do the F you, I won't do it then. If you're going to put that much pressure on me, you can just jog on and go back to being the breadwinner, because actually I don't need that kind of pressure. And I did do that a bit. I was just like, what's the point? What is the point if you're not even proud of me? Because throughout my life, I've always wanted people to be proud of me, my parents mainly, and then my husband. And I just felt, well, you're not proud of me. So what's the point of this? It wasn't about the money. It was about an achievement, a measure of success. And I didn't even get that. So I had a lot of work to work through on that side as well. And hence the reason we're not married anymore. Not the only reason, but one of the very many ones.
Because it was, in a nutshell. Yeah. But I guess in that way as well, like, as you were talking then, it's like that fear of success, fear of failure. And they're just the same thing, but at the opposite ends of the scale, isn't it? And in the end, it's about coming back to balance. And I think
absolutely.
It's like all of lots and lots of different values that we might have, independence in balance is great, but out of balance, then you're super isolated. And then underbalanced, then you are maybe feeling like you're in prison. And you're really, it's just like that. There's that middle point just helps everything become a bit more cohesive, doesn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. It is all about balance and awareness. You can't change any of this unless you, at first, you become aware of it. So,
and I think that's what I also find a lot with the ladies that I work with in coaching, is that awareness. Like people think they know things, like, oh, I know my triggers, I know this, I know that, da, 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 da. And when you start asking some questions, then all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, I didn't realize that was a thing.
Yeah.
And I say it's like having a filing cabinet of crap that you've just put in your brain, and you keep storing and storing and storing, and then you bring them out, and it kind of like, where has that come from? How am I even still thinking about that? It's so old.
Absolutely. And all these things we've been carrying around in our subconscious that we're suddenly conscious of. And it's like, we need to take them, like, remove them somatically through our body, because they're literally held in our brains and in our bodies.
Yeah.
Hence,
and it creates that disconnect as well, though, doesn't it? Yes. Oh God, I love that book. And I guess that's it creates a disconnect, doesn't it? Like when your mind gets so powerful in that way that, I mean, it's just trying to be safe and secure, but actually in the end, it just keeps you small.
Yeah.
But actually, you don't feel anything then. You're so disconnected from you and who you are. Sorry, I don't even know if you can hear this, but this blooming dog is going crazy.
No, I can't hear him, bless her.
Well, she's gone. I think she's seen a cat in the garden. But and then that's the thing, isn't it? Your body keeps score. It keeps you small. It keeps you stuck in a place that's not where you actually you want to be. You want to be able to let go, or you kind of you know that something's not right, but when you don't know what it is, it's just so frustrating.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. It's thank heavens for people like us that can figure it out.
Yay. And then, so what's the next step then, after when you identify, like, right, okay, we know what the trauma is, we know what the limiting belief is, what happens next?
Well, we do, so each of those processes I do separately, and we do the visualization, then we do the tapping around it, and then I'll get them to visualize it again, and the picture has always changed. And that might be enough, or we might need to do some more tapping on how the pictures change, and then it changes again. And it's always very healing, and it's very, very healing with the like with motherhood wounds. So if you've, for example, if you've always wanted your parents to be proud of you, that standing on a stage thing at the end of it, oh yeah, mum and dad are clapping now, mum's come, and this woman I worked with, mum's come back in the room and she's like nodding and smiling. And she's not standing up and clapping. She'd never do that. But she, it's very healing. So Yeah, and then measuring it as we go through. So I usually work with clients over 6 or 12 sessions, measuring it as we go through, checking back in on their objectives and things. Are they putting their prices up? Are their sales conversations feeling easier? Obviously, in the divorce space, that's not relevant. Are they able to have a more powerful conversation with, like, in mediation, or if they're working with one of the people we work with quite a lot of, that is amicable, where there's like one person and a couple, or are they able to challenge what they're, not necessarily challenge, but question or query? I guess query is the right word. What their solicitor is saying, because we're very good at, especially with solicitors, going, "Oh, okay then," but actually, and part of us is like, "That doesn't feel right. There's something not right there." And solicitors are great. This isn't knocking them at all, but sometimes there might be another way to do things. And we
Mm.
know we're very good at knowing what the likely response would be, rather than just like, I've got to win this case. So
Yeah,
it's that kind of, it's all about human behavior, really.
yeah.
So yeah.
And
Does that answer that question?
yeah, and I guess like it's the nuances around that, isn't it? It's not as black and white as win, lose,
Mm,
that kind of thing. It's like there's lots of other things that come into it.
yeah.
And what's the kind of science around tapping
Hmm.
that says it works? Like
Yeah.
why does it work
Great
really?
question. So when I discovered it, I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. If I like walked into some cult, all these people tapping, and like I was just thinking, this is crazy. But it works. And it works on the subconscious. It releases trauma from our body. And the theory is, if you think about how well proven acupuncture is, it's kind
Mm,
of the same. And we're tapping on our acupressure points. I'm just demonstrating the points that you use now. Some people go under the arm, we usually use the top of the head. There are points on the hand as well. And they're these acupressure points that literally, if you think about your energy system as
mm,
a bit like your veins, and your heart's pumping the blood around them, if you're healthy and everything's okay, then the heart's going to work well, the blood's going to run through the veins, the blood isn't, sorry, the veins aren't going to get furry because you're healthy, the heart's going to be pumping optimally. Um, Obviously, physical stress and trauma can affect you physically, but what it absolutely does is affect your energy system. So if you think, well, my energy system is just like my heart, pumping everything round and everything should flow. But what happens is you get trauma throughout your life, little t, big T, whatever it is, it creates chinks and breaks in that energy system. And
mm,
and you might feel suboptimal because you've got lots of little chinks, or you might go through a massive trauma, quite often massive trauma we can cope with, and then something small happens and we can't cope with it. And we're like, but I coped with that. Why can't I cope with this thing? But it's just like your body is like, I can't take any more. I need some help. And what the
mm,
tapping is doing is resetting that. It's fixing the chinks, it's ironing out the chinks, it's fixing the breaks, repairing them, putting it all back together again, basically. So your energy system can flow, about being in flow and alignment and all those things. So and when you use it with a lot of people I work with, they're really into like law of attraction and positive
mm,
affirmations. I think a lot of the self-development and self-help stuff out there is kind of that way inclined. But what it doesn't account for is, it actually, for some people, especially highly sensitive people, that's just kind of putting a sticking plaster on it and pushing it
yeah.
away. And I always say, if you liken it to, do a lot of inner child connection work, like with those visualizations, and if you think about how you would interact with a toddler, if you just pacify it and just go, oh, have a bar of chocolate, take your mind off of it. Yeah, that will work in the moment, but once the chocolate's gone, they're still going to want your attention. Basically, they want
Mm,
your love. They want your security and safety and love and validation and all those things. If you get down on their level, and talk to them and really validate them, validate the things, especially if they're hurt or upset, rather than just go, oh, it's not that bad. You go, that must be really tough. And actually
mm,
start how we're educated to talk to children. Like if you do any kind of parenting class, they always tell you that kind of stuff. But actually, if we just could parent ourselves a bit better and say, okay, what
mm,
part of me, this isn't me triggered, I'm not terrible and broken, but a part of me is really triggered and upset right now. What is that part and why is it? And we can just be really validating and take the blame away, stop beating ourselves up, and then just get some clarity and then know what to tap on. And if you do the tapping, with the tapping, we always do the negatives first. And some people are like, shouldn't I be doing the positives? It's like, no, we start with the negatives to get it out. And it's like, if you've got a wound, you don't just shove a plaster on it. You flush it out, you wash it out, and then it might need stitches and dressing, and then you can put a plaster on it. But if you don't do the first bits, which are sometimes more painful, but actually are needed so that it can heal properly. So that's how I kind of explain that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I guess it's like well, the wound analogy is great. It's like clearing out the negative energies. There's no point putting a plaster on top of a negative energy, because all you do is push it down and it doesn't go away, does it? So it's almost like I see it somehow in line with the chakras, like your energy is a bit blocked, and so things are either getting stuck and not moving, but it's really sort of bringing yourself back into releasing, and then bringing yourself back into alignment.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and then just the tapping, it follows. I've never had I can't even say the word. I've never had acupuncture. So does it follow the lines of acupuncture?
I mean, there's kind of like a recipe that most of us follow. I don't do under the arm because I just find it a bit, you have to have the camera in the right place. If I'm treating clients in person, which I used to do, I hardly ever do anymore. I've got to keep lifting their arm up. So I miss that point out. But I know the guy that taught me, I was taught by a husband and wife team. He just taps in random places. Like he doesn't follow he just goes intuitively where he feels he needs to, which is quite interesting. It's just a bit different. Keeps you on your toes when you're working with him, because you're like, where are we going next?
What's happening?
But it's good. But should we give it a go? Do you want to experience?
Yes, I'd love to. I thought you'd never ask. Yes, let's give it a go.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to keep it quite. What I never want to do, and this is why I don't have loads of free videos on YouTube and stuff, I never want to trigger someone and open something big up. So when I'm doing it in a group, or I know people are going to watch it and I'm not there, I keep it quite light. I always say, if this does trigger anything, then always please get in touch with me and we can have a session, or it might just be a quick chat to make it okay. But I know you've done quite a lot of work, so this might not be massive for you. And it'd be great if it was, but I'm going to just talk about money generally. And then we don't need to get into personal stuff either. So if everyone that is doing this, listening, hopefully they can do this. If they're walking their dog at the time, it might be a bit difficult, but come back to this part of the podcast. And if you just want to close your eyes and put your hand on your heart, and make sure your legs or your ankles or knees aren't crossed. Ideally, if your feet are flat on the ground, that's brilliant. Some people like to kick off their shoes. And just take some nice deep breaths and just feel the mind slowing down. There's always loads of busyness and things flying around in our brains. We might have been rushing around. So just able to let some oxygen in your lungs. Obviously, I can't do it as much as I'd like because I'm talking, but just really take those nice deep breaths. And I always put my hand on my heart so I can just feel that connection into the heart space. And I'll do the visualization, but just before we do that, when we start tapping, you literally just, I'll say the points as I'm doing them, but so anyone that's listening that can't see us, you can still understand where the points are. But just literally copy what I say, be my echo, and then tap on the points. And you can tap with 2 or 3 fingers. You can use your left hand, right hand. It doesn't matter. It's very hard to do it wrong. You're not going to do it wrong, and you'll never make things worse rather than better. So, Karen and the listeners, what I want you to do is just imagine that you're in a room and there is a pile of money in the room, and it might be in a corner. For most people, it's in a corner. You might be really conscious about where the door is or where you're standing, and whatever your mind is painting a picture of is brilliant. Now, most people can visualize. If anyone's listening that can't, I know occasionally there are people that can't have pictures in their heads, then just think of a photograph of money and imagine like that you can open your eyes even, and you can actually put a pile of money in front of you, or bring it up on your screen or something and look at it. And as you're looking at that pile of money, just notice how your body's feeling. So does it feel at all different? Do you feel at all nervous? You might feel really excited. For some people, it's like, oh, I don't even want to look at it. I just want to run out the room. It doesn't feel safe to be here. I feel really, really nervous being here. I feel a bit sick. Like money. And if money could talk to you, what would it say? What would it want to say to you? And for some people, it might be, it's okay. I'm fine. I'm just money. And, if that's the case, you're already healing just by doing this visualization. But for others, it is like, oh, it's got like this cartoon voice and it looks evil and it's just telling me that I'm not allowed to have it or I'm not good enough for it. I don't deserve all this money. I only deserve a bit of it. Those are the classic things that come up when I do this. So, and Karen, do you mind me asking what's coming up for you?
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, it's funny. I could see in a room, it was actually in the middle of the room on a table, but there was like the rest of the room was quite dark and there was just a big spotlight, a
Okay.
spotlight over the money. So it was like illuminated. Um, and I felt when you were saying then how do you feel? I felt really excited. I was just like, oh, like this is exciting, like the things that this can do and da 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 da. But then when you said, what is it telling you or what is it doing? It almost sort of like changed into a little thing is like, I'm here, come get me. Okay.
Yeah. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
That's really good. Yeah. And so for you, and I will bring this in towards the end of the tapping, like we could go straight to the more positives, if we were working one-to-one. And that would probably get you in the space of like, oh my God, I've been procrastinating on that project, didn't realize why, I just thought I was really busy. And you would literally go and do it. And you would, it'd be out there and done in a couple of hours, say, and you've been maybe sitting on it for weeks. So that's really good. So and that shows you've already done a lot of, that's why you're interviewing me, because you're really interested in this and you've done work on it already. So it's brilliant. That's fantastic. But for other people listening, it might have more of a negative impact, like I was saying. So we'll do a little bit on the negatives, and then we'll basically just gently turn it into the positives, and then get you really, let's go kind of thing.
Yeah.
Does that sound okay?
That sounds fine, because the thing that's coming up for me now as I see that, it's almost like, people talk about leaving money on the table. And actually the thing that comes up for me then is, while I'm really excited by it and things, it's kind of making me think I'm leaving money on the table.
Yeah.
That's what's coming up for me now when I think about it. And I hadn't thought about it in that way, actually. That's interesting.
Yeah. And that's that is really interesting. And you've just made me think as well, I'm kind of like that with my book. I just need to get it finished and out there. It's just that last bit. So maybe I'll go and finish it this weekend. Who knows?
There we
go. Thank you. double bonus. Okay, cool. So we're going to start tapping on the side of the hand. So this is what we call the setup. And just repeat, and you can tap left or right hand, doesn't matter. So it's 2 or 3 fingers tapping on what we call the karate chop point, which is literally that side of your hand that you would do a karate chop point with, karate chop with even. So, and we start by saying even though. So you just repeat after me.
Even though
there's all this money there.
There's all this money there.
And even though part of me is excited.
And even though part of me is excited.
Part of me might be a little bit scared.
Part of me might be a little bit scared.
And I'm realizing that I'm leaving money on the table.
And I'm realizing that I'm leaving money on the table.
And obviously, for people listening at home, you can tweak these words so they're more specific to you. But so other people at home can do that now. And even though I'd like not to leave money on the table,
I'd like not to leave money on the table,
I totally honour and accept myself anyway.
I totally honour and accept myself and I.
Anyway.
Anyway.
Perfect. Okay, so tapping on the point. So we start on the eyebrow point, literally where your eyebrow begins. All this money.
All this money.
Outside of the eye. All this money staring at me or in front of me.
All this money staring at me.
Under the eye. A part of me feels really excited.
A part of me feels really excited.
Under the nose. But maybe a part of me is really scared.
But maybe a part of me is really scared.
On the chin. Maybe a part of me is a bit resistant to having this money.
Maybe a part of me is a bit resistant to having this money.
On the collarbone. Maybe I'm feeling really resistant right now.
Maybe I'm feeling really resistant right now.
And also, Karen, don't worry, if you're not feeling that, you're not going to make yourself feel like that by doing this. So don't worry about that. On the top of the head, all this money right in front of me.
All this money right in front of me.
On the eyebrow. It's right there, but sometimes it feels so far away.
It's right there, but sometimes it feels so far away.
Outside of the eye. Sometimes it feels like I have to work really hard for money.
Sometimes it feels like I have to work really hard for money.
Under the eye. And I think people are going to judge me for earning money.
And I think people are going to judge me for earning money.
Under the nose, especially if I earn more than them.
Especially if I earn more than them.
On the chin, especially if I earn more than all of my family members.
Especially if I earn more than my family members.
On the collarbone. I don't want to upset anyone or feel like I'm being disloyal.
I don't want to upset anyone or feel like I'm being disloyal.
Top of the head. And I totally honour all of these feelings.
And I totally honour all of these feelings.
On the eyebrow. I honour this fear and anxiety around money.
I honour this fear and anxiety around money.
Outside of the eye. I honour all my programming around money.
I honour all of my programming around money.
Under the eye. I honour the times I found money really difficult.
I honour the times I found money really difficult.
Under the nose. And I honour the times I've had a great relationship with money.
And I honour the times I've had a great relationship with money.
On the chin. It's safe to have a great relationship with money.
It's safe to have a great relationship with money.
On the collarbone. Money can be my friend.
Money can be my friend.
Top of the head. Money can help me to do some really good things.
Money can help me to do some really good things.
On the eyebrow. To make more of an impact on other people's lives.
To make more of an impact on other people's lives.
Outside of the eye. And I deserve to earn money for doing that.
And I deserve to earn money for doing that.
Under the eye. It's safe to earn money.
It's safe to earn money.
Under the nose. I'm open to feeling completely at ease around money.
I'm open to feeling completely at ease around money.
On the chin. I'm safe and I'm okay.
I'm safe and I'm okay.
On the collarbone. I'm open to appreciating what money can do for me and others.
I'm open to appreciating what money can do for me and others.
Top of the head. It's safe to have a great relationship with money.
It's safe to have a great relationship with money.
Okay, put your hand on your heart, take a nice deep breath. some people may want to have a stretch or move their shoulders around, really notice if there is any tension or anything. You might want to do some more tapping and say, this tension in my shoulders, if it's still there. You might want to repeat what we've just done again, if there's still some sort of anxiety and strange feelings around money. But can I ask you, Karen, to just put your hand on your heart and close your eyes again and just go back to that picture and tell me how it's changed.
Actually, and when I think back to it, the initial excitement was also not necessarily around, ooh, what can I do with money? What can I buy with that? It was around like, what can I do with this? And I think that's more prevalent now. It's not just about me, but it's funny because when we first started, I could feel like I felt a bit sort of sicky in my stomach, and now, excuse me, but I'm burping because it feels like there's that sort of like a release somehow. I don't feel that.
Absolutely.
I don't feel that now.
That's amazing.
Really,
cool.
Cool. That's really strange.
Oh, I'm so glad you shared that, because I should have said, like burping's really common, or just like needing to clear your throat, especially if it's around not speaking your truth. Like your stomach might start rumbling. People often yawn a lot, and obviously yawning's a bit impolite. So it's like, oh my God, yawn away. You do not have to stifle a yawn with me. It's like if I've got clients yawning in front of me, I know they're releasing, and it's like really, really cool. And they're like, wow, I don't have to stifle a yawn. That's brilliant. I spent a lifetime stifling yawns at my work. I used to fall asleep in meetings. They were so dull. Not my work now, when I was in corporate. So yeah, it's that little exercise, it's a decent difference, isn't it? So
yeah. And also the light had turned up, the spotlight, it felt like a spotlight on money. And now when I looked at it then, the room was warm. It wasn't stark bright light, but the whole room was warm, as in warm of light.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say that. That's because that is quite typical. Yeah. And then what we can say is, like, take a picture of that and imagine you're filing it into your brain, like your little brain opening a filing cabinet,
into the filing cabinet,
popping it in, and or saving it as a computer file if you're younger than us and don't remember actual filing cabinets. And by doing that, you're literally making new neural pathways in your brain to say, that money is safe. Basically, it's safe for me to do that. And like remembering that rather than the bad stuff. So that's how it all works.
Yeah, that's funny. It's making me think actually about the package that I'm working on, and I have been procrastinating a bit. I mean, there's been a lot of lifing, but I have been procrastinating on that, and I think I just need to get it finished.
Yeah, get it out there.
Oh, that's amazing, Liz. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Would I do that again? Or like, as in do this 5 times over the next week or whatever, or it's just as you feel it or something like that? What's the follow-up you do?
If you've been, I mean, if we were working together, we'd obviously have more sessions. So, and you can have a massive breakthrough, but then that leaves the space for the next thing to come up. But equally, just what we've done, you could listen to it again, just listen to your own podcast again. Or
it's good for ratings.
Yeah, absolutely. And then maybe just think, okay, and I wouldn't always advise other people to do this, but I know, because I know you anyway, I know you'd be safe doing this, but you could have a think about, okay, how do I feel about money? How do I feel about what feelings am I aware of in my body when I think about raising my prices or pricing my new program? Like if I, like a lot of coaches would just go, well, triple your prices. And I used to say that too, but actually I think it's a bit different. We can't always, I won't get into it a lot, but I think the market's changed slightly. So that's not always appropriate, but it's like, okay, if that's what I'd love to be earning, then, how do I feel? Do I actually feel aligned to that, or is there fear there? And then you tap into it. When I look at that figure, or when I think about charging that to clients, I feel nervous. I feel a flutter in my stomach, butterflies, or my chest feels tight, whatever it might be. And then once you get rid of those feelings, you can feel aligned with that price. You can go and charge it. And the experiment, okay, well, that feels too much of a stretch, but that feels okay. And actually, I know that's too low. And I was going to charge it at that. So maybe I don't go straight up there yet. Maybe I go in the middle or push it the middle a bit further up. But I know once I've got 3 clients on that price, I can then go up again and just keep on doing the work around it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh gosh, that's so interesting. Like, I think I need to go back and have a little think about that, and what that looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's incredible. And do you find then from the beginning session to, if you say like you're doing 12, then there's really quite a big, I mean, you gave the example anyways at the beginning of the guy that you were working with who completely changed his model of what he was doing.
Yeah, absolutely. It was massive for him. We only did 3 sessions. And the other sessions were, they were significant, but that was the key. That was the real turning point. What was the question? Sorry, I've forgotten what you asked. What?
Yeah, just that then. Like, do you see such a big?
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah. Yes, I do. And this is why I love doing what I do. So I used to do business coaching. And when I started doing the business coach, only because I was networking and people kept asking me, because I kind of my HR background-ish, and I was actually building quite a successful online business. So the people that I was networking with in person hadn't, this was a long time ago now, 15 years ago, when people weren't really doing stuff online. And so I was doing business coaching. Then what I ended up finding was my business coaching clients that were just doing business coaching compared to the ones that I was doing this money mindset with, the differences in their successes was huge. And they were getting exactly the same business advice, but the ones that were doing the tapping and the money mindset work were just 10xing their results. So and that one of the reasons I love money mindset, you can measure it. You can you don't just feel better about money, but you have increased your prices, or you now find it much easier to sell and you're getting more clients. And it might just be, I don't just work with entrepreneurs. It might be, you're not feeling bitter and twisted about your divorce because actually you did really badly out of it. You've let that go now and you can focus on moving forwards. It might be, you sorted out all your bad relationship with money, so now you can put in place a will, insurances. You're going to get that power of attorney that you've been putting off for 2 years, or that you didn't even have space to think about. So I'm not a financial advisor at all, but I know the basics of what everyone should have in place, and I can say, right, that's your next step. Go and get that done. Go and do a budget, because now actually it's not going to make you feel sick. You can actually look at the numbers without feeling awful and like you're failing and being really crap. You can actually look at your budget or what you're spending, where you're spending your money, which is a great exercise. And I'm not like, oh, stop spending £5 a day on coffees. If that's really makes you happy, carry on spending it. But actually, that bottle of wine you're buying 3 times a week from Tesco's, do you need it? Because actually that's costing you this much money over a year, and you're telling me you want to save money, and also that's going to make you so much more healthy. And I'm not teetotal. I do buy wine from Tesco's and other stores,
other stores available.
Yes, exactly. But it's just by doing that exercise myself, I realized we were spending about 1,200 quid a year on after school snacks for the kids and literally the odd bottle of wine from Tesco's, and I'm like, it's quite a lot of money. This was quite a few years ago as well. And I'm like, and also if I'm spending that's a hell, if I imagine how much chocolate that must be that I'm giving my children, what am I doing? So poor kids, they did start having crudités when I picked them up in little plastic boxes and stuff. But they weren't very happy.
Bougie Liz.
Didn't last that long, to be fair. But it's stuff like that. And it's not always massively measurable like with the entrepreneurs. Oh, I've tripled my prices and I'm getting loads more clients. It could be those little changes that actually over time make a big difference. Or I can talk to my husband now about money, and I totally get where he's coming from now because we've been able to have this conversation. And now I know where our money is. I know when we're going to pay off our mortgage. I know what our financial freedom number is, which I won't go into, but it's a calculation that you understand how much you need for retirement. And I know that he has got a pension that's worth this. And I've realised that actually we're going to set one up for me as well. With a few clients, I had so I always tell them, go through, if you've got an old CV, go through your old CV and contact all your old employers and ask them if you've got a pension with them. You can do it online as well. There's a pension tracking service. But I had a client find out that she had a pension that was worth 15 grand. I had one that found out she had a pension that was worth £40,000 and she didn't know about it. And they never come knocking on your door saying, oh, excuse me, because you've usually moved. So they got no way of checking you. They don't come knocking on your door and saying, "Oh, we've got your money. Would you like it, please?" We have to be proactive, and that's life-changing for that person.
100%. I mean, finding 40 grand underneath the sofa kind of thing, like that's quite nice.
Yeah.
And I guess also in that way, all of these things, what it does really is it gives you control back. And when you feel like you are in control, it makes you feel powerful because you understand and you know. And from that position, the conversations that you can have, because you are clear, you're in clarity, you know what things are, you can advocate for yourself much better. Whether you're in bliss or in
turmoil.
In turmoil, divorce hell. Either way, within that, you can advocate for yourself more because you know exactly where you stand. Because I think sometimes it's like all of that unknowing, all of that uncertainty, that's the really tricky that's the situation. You feel disempowered. There's no respect. You don't feel seen, even if you are in bliss. There's parts around that, right? So gosh, honestly, Liz, I feel like I think we need part 2. I feel like we could
I'd love
go
to
on for days
2.
and days and days. It's just so interesting. And I think it's like you said at the top, it's just things that we don't talk about. We don't talk about finances. And it's so much to, even in bliss, it's so much to our detriment that we don't know where we're heading to, and what life down the line really sort of like looks like for us right now.
Completely. And a lot of what I do with the tapping, the visualization, you can say it's quite woo-woo, but then there's such a practical element to it as well. And in order to make that practical element easy and doable, and get it done, is by doing the softer stuff and exploring your feelings and all that kind of stuff. So we've got the healing element, but then I always say inform, empower, and go into action. Get the shit done, because it's such a great feeling when you're sorted. I mean, even though my income was obviously, my financial situation is vastly different from when I was married, it's actually, because I feel informed and in control and empowered, I feel so much more comfortable, because I haven't got all these question marks buzzing around, floating around, like are always there and never quite answered. I'm like, I don't understand how we're ever going to pay the mortgage off. Please make that make sense. And we wouldn't have done, because he was just completely bullshitting. But like, I know exactly when not exactly, I'd have to check my spreadsheet, but I know more or less when I'm going to pay my mortgage off. And I know about ISAs, using up my ISA allowance now. I've got a private pension. I'm saving money for my kids. And he's the flipping millionaire that's earning £230,000 a year, and he's got none of that in place. So,
that's the thing, isn't it? Everything's relative. It's how you organize and how you strategize, isn't it? You can have loads of money, like you can earn loads of money, but if you're earning that and you're spending that and you're not actually putting anything else aside, then you're not going to be earning that forever, are you? Like at one point you are going to want to retire, and then it's like, oh shit, what do I do now?
Yeah. And although, yes, my financial situation could be better than it is, I'm in control of it, and I know what I've got to do to continue to improve it. And I know also that because of this, I can now teach my kids really good financial sense. I'm a bit of a bore. Like, right, let's sit down and set up a pension for you both. And they're just like, what?
Still at school, mum.
I know, but I'm like, no, I'm doing it now for them. That's on our list. We'll do it before Christmas, hopefully. Like, I'm going to set them up a pension. I want them to realise, because I think, especially like if you've got kids, I think there's a real pressure to be like, oh, I've got to save for their university fees and everything. Yes, ideally that would be great, but how are they ever going to buy a house? Like, all those kinds of things. I think any child now that is not educated about investing, like actually in like stocks and shares and stuff, and growing their money, even if it's just a tiny percentage. So I always say, guys, if you save 10% of everything you ever earn, you'll be a millionaire by the time you're my age. You can't not be. Like the sums are the proof. It actually works. And I didn't do that. No one told me to, so I didn't do it.
Yeah. I guess that's the thing, actually, when you think about it now as well, for kids going into, you know, I had pocket money, I had physical money in my hands. So if I spend my £10 or whatever it was, then I had nothing left, but I could physically see I have nothing left. Whereas now it's almost like, how do kids even know about money? Because everything's on your phone, it's on a card, it's on a something, so like you don't physically see it. It's like, where does it even come from? Does it grow on trees? Because like, you know, that's what I thought when I was a kid. It's like, we're going to bury this pound, it's going to grow into a pound tree, we're just going to like, we're going to grow, we're going to be millionaires. But I guess funny, in this, like now, like, does it come from the ether? Like, what's going on?
But it's really funny, actually. So I looked after my friend's dog in the summer holidays, and she gave me some cash. So I had all this cash, but it didn't feel like real money because I'm so used to. It was almost the opposite of what you said. I'm so used to using my card. It was like it didn't have a value, and I was just like, oh yeah, I'll buy it. Let me pay. Let's go out for dinner. I've got all this cash, and it was so interesting because I thought this is going to be really good for the kids to see cash, and they do see cash, but not loads. But it was almost the opposite. And I'm like, wow, we're already so indoctrinated in plastic and our phones to pay for things. Cash I was just so surprised. It was a real shockingly weird thing because it didn't feel real. And I'm like, that's me at 47 who's been brought up around cash. So, you know, but it's really interesting.
Yeah, that is. It's strange that it's almost like it's the reverse. Of like, this isn't real. It's like monopoly money. Just like,
it was. That's what it was.
And then it's gone. And you're like, shit, I've actually got to feed this dog.
So interesting.
Yes, it's super interesting. But oh my gosh, thank you so much, Liz.
My pleasure.
I have learned so much from this conversation, and I hope that listeners do too. So I will take all of your details, and then if anybody wants to contact you about EFT tapping, your family flow, which is, I guess, it's focusing more on divorce, isn't it, and helping women through that time. I'll get your details and add them in the
show notes.
Thanks so much, Liz. Yes,
that's all right.
Exactly.
We both know exactly what it's like. Yeah, I mean, just to let people know, if they want to look me up or anything, website's probably the best. The EFTcoach.com is anything that's not divorce related, and then familyflow.co.uk is for all the divorce related stuff. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, brilliant. Thanks so much, Liz. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Well, I hope that you all enjoyed that as much as I loved chatting to Liz. It was so interesting when I was editing the episode and listening back to us talking about money. At first, I got really this icky feeling and it just felt really cringe, like, is this what we want to be talking about? Money? And it just made me think, wow, it really is such a taboo topic that we generally seem to avoid. Finances, we all have them, we all work with them, but we really don't often talk about them, whether that's to our friends, to our family, to our partners, at work. And more often than not, women, we tend to downplay our successes. And it was really interesting hearing Liz talk about how she had kind of given herself a cap about what she could earn based on what her dad had earned. And it just made me think that there are so many stories that we just keep compiling into what I like to call the filing cabinet of shit, which is our brain. We just collect stories subconsciously also, like we're just doing it all the time and we don't realise it, we don't know that we're storing these things, and our brain is making decisions for us based on such old information We don't go back. We're not looking at it to delete some of these shitty files that are really crappy stories that we've been telling ourselves, either consciously or subconsciously, for so long. We've just forgotten about it. So it's very interesting how this really relates. And a lot of that comes back to the focus of Liz's work. Women taking time out to have and then care for children, going back into the workplace at part-time hours maybe. It all adds up to the pay gap increasing. And we don't think about our long term when we're in love and everything's great. It's only in times of crisis that we start to think about that long term and what it looks like for us. It's really given a lot of food for thought on this topic, and I've put Liz's details in the show notes for anyone. Join me next week. I'll be chatting to Fiona Berry about blowing up her life. Her, not me, and starting again in the lovely Lake District. So see you next week. Ciao.